somebody had posted a bulletin or a blog on their MySpace page. I believe it was a sister. And she said that King Noble, Bobby Hemming, and Phil Valentine don't understand the teachings of Dr. Malachi York. And I would beg to differ. Because what Dr. Malachi York represented was for the level of consciousness that the people were at that perceived it. Meaning that you got from it where your level of consciousness was. That's the bottom line. And wherever consciousness you were, that's what you got. He said, give them what they want so you will want what I have to give. Now, he walked them to different schools and different degrees based on where they were at. That's where they was in Christians. He met them in Christianity. But in his walk, he met a whole bunch of different beings, all at the same place at the same time. That's what's so divine about his teachings. If you was into Islam, he's going to raise you up out of Islam. If you was in Christianity, he's going to raise you from Christianity and Masonry and Judaism, depending on where you're at. Some of us was already in the all. We realized who we were. We knew what time it is. We knew what we were, the return of the ancient ones. Before he even, when he came out the information, it was confirmation of who we are. You see what I'm saying? It was validation of what we knew ourselves already to be. But with the different information that he put out, you'll find that something was consistent with all of his information. They say, well, he keeps contradicting himself, and he keeps changing from school to school to school and going from this school. But if you notice one thing, in every school that he went to, he taught the divinity of black people. Look in your holy tablet. Every book or every information, every school of thought he went to, he brought us to blackness. He brought us back to blackness. Whether it was Islam, he said the Prophet Muhammad was black. If it was Jesus Christ, he said Jesus Christ was black. He showed us pictures of all the prophets and all the divine beings, and he made them black. That was consistent. He was on black nationalism, black empowerment, and black supremacy, because the most supremest images of black people were seen inside of the holy tablets. So, while people are lost in contradiction, he was trying to wake people up to their divine blackness in every aspect or religion or denomination that they came from, because that was consistent in everything that he did from the end. He blackened it all up for everybody. While some people couldn't accept black power from a political perspective or from a black power perspective, he brought them into black power consciousness through a religious perspective. That's a fact. So no matter what school of thought he went through, that was consistent. That he was about nation and community building. Because every school he went through, he was building a black community. So while many people got lost in the religious ideologies and the religious theologies, they could not see the consistency of what the man was actually building and demonstrating. And if you want to see what's true about something, then you must look what is consistent about it. And if you're not looking at consistency, then you are not looking for truth. That's a fact. You didn't got lost in the clouds and you got lost in space. When in reality, there was a consistent theme running through every school of thought that he went through. So in that sense, I understand Dr. Malachi York very well. And I understand the different degrees and schools that he was coming through. But by the time he got there, some of us got sound right reasoning from him. In factology, we got the science of it from him. While some people got just the reasonings on different schools of thoughts, some of us understood the totality of the science of Nuwapu in consciousness. We was there. We cracked the code. We got the code some of the people got in different matrices. They was happy that they just got out of Christianity. They was happy that they just got out of Islam. But some of us got out of everything. Y'all know what I'm saying? Some of us got out of all the boxes by being able to reason now for ourselves and look at truth in its totality. So back in the day, many of them come to us who were standing in the position of the all when they came to us, trying to teach us out of the holy tablets and the books. And we would ask them different questions. Because we was beyond the rhetoric. We were beyond the dogmatism. We had reached a level of enlightened philosophy. That's what I'm here to bring. I'm here to enlighten people's consciousness totality. I'm not here to walk you out of religions and schools of thoughts. I'm here to walk you from being walked out of. You follow me? Religions and schools and thoughts. And some people are confused because they walked out of one religion trying to walk into another one. And trying to find another one. And trying to keep adding religious frameworks of thinking to everything, and not come up out of that in its totality to have an enlightened consciousness and have a mind that's truly one with the all. In Hermeticism, they teach that all is mind. Y'all don't hear me? The all is mind. So if the all is mind, then your mind has to fathom and be one with the all. Not just a religious point of view. Not just a religious doctrine or a religious school of thought. This is all limited. All these things have been produced by the consciousness of man. We can learn from them. But the consciousness of a man of whom you have learned this stuff from is limited from the consciousness of yourself. You hear me? Because the consciousness of yourself is in a time, situation, circumstances that are totally different from the consciousness of any men who have ever existed. Which means you have to be present and you have to have an enlightened mind to approach reality, to have an understanding of the truth. You cannot use any of the holy books. We are not in that time anymore. We are not in Saudi Arabia anymore. We're not in Israel in the time when they talk about the Bible anymore. We're not in any of these time frames anymore. But we in a time that must be perceived by enlightened minds who could gain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to make the most divinest of moves today. We can't relive biblical scriptures. That already happened. Why would God do the same thing over again? That's a constant loop. We're about to go through Sodom and Gomorrah again. We're about to part the Red Sea again. He already did that. You follow what I'm saying? It's time to do something else. It's time for us to create, to come back into creative consciousness to manifest and create the reality that we want to. But as long as we are attached to what man already did, presenting himself as God, what he already did or already wrote, it was already written in the books, we will not get to a level of creative consciousness because we don't realize our power to create and to manifest. We are still trying to interpret. You follow me? That which is already there. But we have to get to a God consciousness to create, to visualize, and to project, to clear the slate, to rewrite history. We have to become those gods, to make history, to reinterpret history by reaching a divine pinnacle of consciousness. Because how you see the past is from where you're standing. Let me break that down according to distance. If I'm standing on the bottom of a mountain, and you standing on the top of a mountain, how we look at where we came from is different. We both have walked the same distance. Now, the same distance from one space to another. The only difference is, I'm standing on the top of the mountain, you standing on the bottom of the mountain. So when we both look back, how we see the distance we have traveled is different. According to what pinnacle we have reached right now. Some of us look back and we can see the pyramids and the monuments. And we can see our other incarnated selves. Some of us at the bottom of the mountain. And all we can see is the white man's cities. You follow me? Some of us at the top of the mountain, we see pyramids and monuments and the Sphinx, and we see divine things that we built. We can see our ancient selves from the past. Some of us at the bottom of the mountain, and all they can see is what some anthropologists dug up. All they can see is an artifact, because that's what's on the ground in the dirt. And they're trying to study and interpret artifacts and not rise to a high pinnacle of perceiving their own greatness from looking at the past. So in order to perceive and interpret the past properly, you must become a divine interpreter by reaching a divine level of consciousness. And when you attain that divine level of consciousness, how you will view the past will be from a higher level, a higher altitude, with a higher attitude than people at the bottom. That's a fact. So that means we must obtain a level of divine consciousness. I always give this example, that those who have achieved success in life, they look back at the hardships in their lives and see them as benefits. They see them as great things that they went through to make who they are today. But those who do not achieve success in life, they just have a pity party about their life. The same life, the same experiences. The person who gets off crack looks back as crack as an obstacle that they had to go to achieve a divine level of being. Am I right? But the person who's on crack constantly sees the pitfalls that crack had, how they got hooked on, when it went down, and how long it's been since they ain't been able to get off. So what you have achieved in the present moment, in this now, will interpret and color how you see the past. That's a fact. So we got to get to a higher level of consciousness to perceive the past. 100%. That's what Dr. Malachi York did. He went and saw the divinity of the past history that we had and then gave it back to us. And created it as an elder God. So we got to get to a higher level of creation. That's my whole point in saying that. Now, that takes me into another part of what I want to speak on. Because I could even come and do the degree of Yorkism. You had the degree of Mohammedanism. You have the degree of Christism. But you also have a degree of Yorkism that people have to go beyond. Because that's what he wanted you to do. He didn't give you sound right reasoning to get stuck in any type of rhetoric, doctrine, or dogma. But if you're not stuck in rhetoric, doctrine, and dogma, what type of mind are you going to have? You're going to have an enlightened mind. Because enlightened mind doesn't have any crutches. It doesn't have a ladder to lean on. It doesn't have a book. It doesn't have a book to run to. It has that IRA. It has that third outlet. It has an open eye at the top of its head where it's all seeing and it sees everything. The all-seeing eye is inside of you. But you have to become all-seeing. But you can as long as you're using religiosity, theology, and dogmatism, right, as a crutch to not be able to perceive and deal with the actuality of truth. So this information is for those who are ready to open up to see the truth. So we're not walking you out of Christianity no more. We're not walking you out of Islam anymore. We're not walking you out of these religious doctrines. We're walking you from being walked out, those who are ready to walk out. Because it's not there anymore. It's not in the walking out, is it? It's in the being out. You can walk out for 100 years, but you ain't got out though. You spend 100 years walking out. We got to completely come out, 100%, and come into the divine conscious realization of ourselves. That's what I'm bringing here. That's what I'm manifesting. Not a religion, but a complete awareness. When I say consciousness, a complete open conscious mind of your own divinity, of your own creative power, is what they had in Kemet to build great civilizations. They didn't get that information caught up in any religiosity. That was knowing thyself. Knowing thyself and coming in a state of complete awareness. That's a fact. That's a fact. So we have to physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally step up out of that stuff. And you got to become emotionally strong. Because now your Santa Clauses is coming down. Your tooth fairies is coming down. Because we saying Jesus didn't exist. Oh my God. You thought Santa Claus was a joke. The rest of the stuff is a joke too. But some people give you a black Santa Claus. Right? Don't they have a black Santa Claus on some Christmases? Some people will give you a black tooth fairy. But the tooth fairy is a lie. Does not exist. So at some point, you go from a black one, that's the step, till you step out of it. And you realize yourself as the Santa Claus, as the great giver, as the great receiver, as the bestower of abundance. You know what I'm saying? And then you start to do and provide for your own family, culture, and nation, and not wait for a white man with a white beard in the form of Jesus Christ, or a black man with a white beard in the form of Jesus Christ. You follow what I'm saying? You're not waiting on that anymore, and now you're stepping up and playing a divine role to manifest inside of creation.